Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Croke Park. Please put your hands together for your hosts for the evening, Owen Sheahan and Tommy Rooney.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are we all doing? Ooh, look at this.
Oh, Sheahan, how are you?
Very well.
Good to see you.
Happy All-Ireland week.
How are you all doing? Ooh, that's a little tentative, isn't it? How are you all doing?
How are we all doing?
It's okay. How are you doing?
I'm great, Tommy.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
A long time
Good to
since I've
see
seen you, buddy.
I know. I'm a disgrace.
You've been jet-setting around the world.
I have
Where
been
have you
away.
been? Tell everyone where you've been.
I was overly presumptuous that Kerry would make it to the All-Ireland football final, so I decided to get all my travelling done before this week.
He's been in Mongolia for the last 6 weeks.
Yes, that is very true. I'd like to apologise to all my fellow Kerry people for not being here. I've got kicked out of a WhatsApp group even for not showing up to Kerry matches.
We'll come back to that in a few minutes. We always do a little stress test.
Yes.
This time of the year. It's great to have you all here for the Off the Ball All-Ireland final special. It's in Croke Park, as you all know. Lovely to be here. I'd love to know, though, who was confident enough to book their tickets 6 weeks ago when these went on sale? Who fancied themselves to be in the All-Ireland final? Is there anyone here from Wicklow? There we go. Well done. You had a hell of a season. What a win in the Tailteann Cup.
Absolutely.
Anyone here from Meath? Yeah.
Anyone here from Louth?
Yeah. Hard luck, lads. You fancied yourselves, didn't you? How about Dublin? Okay. Where's Paddy Andrews with his Up the Dubs? We've got a very special guest coming up very shortly.
We do.
Kieran McGeeney. What a man. Have we got anyone here from Armagh? Ah, look at that. There you go. What a crew. Anyone here from Mayo? Well, at least you're here because we don't have any guests from Mayo planned for you tonight. We've got a couple of guests from Kerry and they said, no Mayo people at all.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here from Kerry? There we go. Well, I've got with me here the greatest Kerry fan I've ever met in my life. We might have a couple of images here. A great Kerry family, the Sheahans. There he is with Weishy Fogarty, a legendary broadcaster. Look at Eoin, he hasn't changed at all. But an absolute giant of the broadcasting game, Weishy. And I think we also have Eoin with a relation of his, Maurice Fitzgerald. His mammy's cousin. So that's why it was such a big deal, Eoin, when we all heard that you weren't going to be here for the last couple of weeks of the season. And I think I wasn't the only one who felt let down that you had deserted Kerry and your people. We heard John Kiley talking about doing your job, supporting the team. And actually, I think we can actually cross over to Leinster House for a development on this story. Have we got Barry Lenihan, RT correspondent?
There has been such consternation around the Kerry Manor government building behind me since the shock resignation of Michael Healy-Rae last April. Fireys man Eoin Sheahan, removed from the Kerry Mafia, had not attended a game involving Jack O'Connor's side since May 23rd. Indeed, footage shows how when Kerry were struggling past Tyrone, Eoin Sheahan was eagle hunting and sumo wrestling in Mongolia, whilst further video footage shows how when Kerry scraped past Dublin, Mr. Sheahan was involved in a lengthy interview with Mongolian television. Now, my sources telling me that the underground movement, the Kerry Mafia, held a key meeting in recent days and voted unanimously to remove Eoin Sheahan from the group, with even Mr. Sheahan's father and brother voting to remove their relative. Now, I'm told in the last few hours that diplomatic sources in Mongolia have been putting pressure on the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach here to put Eoin Sheahan back in the Kerry Mafia ahead of Sunday's All-Ireland final, and the Mafia has agreed to do so, but with strict sanctions, including the removal of Eoin Sheahan's season ticket for Sunday's All-Ireland final. So can Eoin make it to the game? One of the key questions to answer over the next...
Oh, we have
Barry Lenihan. Now, Barry is a good friend of Eoin's. He's also one of the best broadcasters in the game. Barry, you've hardly made it from government buildings to the room here, have you? Barry? No, he'll be a couple of minutes. We'll see him later. But on the All-Ireland final tickets, you now don't have one.
Well, exactly.
But
Season ticket stripped as of this week, but there is an opportunity for myself, for everybody in this room, to win a pair of All-Ireland tickets tonight. So you will have been given a raffle ticket upon entry to Croke Park tonight. At the very end of the show, 2 of you will be brought up on stage and we will have our penalty shootout quiz to see who will be walking away from Croke Park with a pair of tickets to Croke Park at the end of the night.
It's all with thanks to AIB. Can Kieran McGeeney finally win a penalty shootout? That's the question for later on. You know? Now, we've mentioned one special guest. We do have 2 more very special guests.
Listen, it's an absolute privilege to be up on stage with the football pod today, but obviously Tommy is only 1/3 of the football pod. So can we please give a warm Croke Park welcome to Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue.
There he is back. Thanks, Eoin.
There.
Where are we going?
Work away, lads.
Remember when we used to actually host this show?
I had to fucking sneak in tonight. Like,
Tickets were very expensive this year.
great to be here.
How are you, boys?
How are the boys?
Oh, good, yeah, great.
Lads, what a year for the pod. I mean, the high points, surely seeing your boy Tommy Rooney going toe-to-toe with Jim McGuinness in Killarney, flying kites. Surely 2 proud fathers watching on as that happened.
It was we were there. We were in Killarney on the day as well, like, and he went into the press conference, and like Tommy would get rattled easily now. To be fair, like, and you came out and you were like, was it too much? And we were like, you're fucking dead right, Tommy. Good man, like. No, it was great. It was great.
I was over in Lanzarote and he rang me. Did you see my video? Did you see my video? I was like, no, Tommy, I'm on the beach. He was delighted though. But he's a celebrity now.
Yeah.
So fair play, Tom.
Are we done? I was just doing my job. That's all I was doing.
It was an interesting moment in the year, especially if you take this weekend and run it back to that weekend. If you look at it from a Kerry perspective, that was either the weekend it was all going to be the beginning of the end for Kerry, or it was going to be the weekend that kicked them into gear, James. And it turns out that it was the second of those 2 things that's materialised.
I know. But if you look back to that Donegal game, fair enough, Kerry were probably poor in the second half, but they had 14 men. And as much as Tommy wants to say that Kerry are soft and Kerry are rubbish and all that, like, we genuinely did have 14 men on the field for second half and still actually played all right. So I don't think Kerry took too much of a setback. And we actually got guff on the pod because towards the end of the year we're talking too much about Kerry, but that's because we don't talk about them at the start of the year because we know they're probably going to be involved later. It's why we load up on
like,
the start of the year.
It's a married couple, these 2, like, going at each other for the whole season. Jeez,
hold me back and let me in there. It's going to be very dangerous for the 2 of you to be sitting beside each other tonight. It's like Tomas and Darrell O'Shea in the corner. You're going to be telling us that Kerry you're going to win by 20 points by the end of the night. Or are you going to give it a little yara now?
No. It'll be close. It'll be close.
How confident are you, James?
Well, do you know what? I flew up this morning, right? And I pulled into the car park in Kerry Airport and it was full. And I said, I'll have to go into the overflow car park here. But sure enough, someone pulled out just in front of the airport and I pulled in, right? Lovely parking space. Then I got onto the flight and I was sitting the row behind the emergency exit, double leg room. It was like first class Ryanair. Got out of the airport, couldn't find a taxi. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going. Next thing, taxi driver pulled up in front of me and said, do you want a lift? I swear to God. So I went in and I said, this is our weekend. And I backed Kerry -9.
Well, I'm not going to ask Eoin how confident he is. Because Eoin was so confident he didn't go to a Kerry game after that game in Killarney. That was the last game you were at.
I know. It's great. The interesting thing, though, James, is the O'Shea's giving Kerry all their backing. Darragh O'Shea saying he can't see any winner other than Kerry this weekend. What do you think they're up to?
I don't know. I was surprised because it's kind of going on all year, really, that they're really pushing Kerry forward. But, I mean, there's a good chance that Tomas is probably going to be the next Kerry manager after Jack. So to hear him say it is surprising, but I think that they're probably echoing the feeling around the country. But then again, that puts you in very dangerous territory to be too confident I've never seen a build-up like it, really.
Jack doesn't look to me like a man who's ready to step away. He retired last year after winning the All-Ireland, and
Well,
then
he was
rolled back
delighted.
in it 5 minutes later.
He was delighted in the wedding dress. He was the happiest man of all time in that wedding dress.
He looked well. He did.
Paddy, are we sleeping on the possibility that Mayo could actually do this thing this weekend? It feels that we've imagined that scenario before so many of their All-Ireland finals over the last 10, 15 years. It doesn't feel that's even part of the talk this week.
Oh, Mayo will eventually win an All-Ireland. They will. They have quality players. I just don't know if it's going to be this Sunday, but of course they've an opportunity to win this game. You know, they've had a bumpy start to the championship. You remember that game in Connacht against the Rossies. They were very fortunate against Monaghan that same weekend that Donegal beat Kerry down to Clarny, the opening weekend of the All-Ireland series. You remember half-time in the Meath game, and they were hanging on. Meath should have scored easily 5 or 6 goals in the first half, and he just thought this thing is crumbling around them. But the one thing Mayo have always had, and this group is no different, is that energy and fight when their backs are to the wall, and it's no surprise with Andy and Colin Boyle and those type of guys involved. And they've turned their season around. So they've got forwards who, on their day, can be exceptional. Challenge, 2 of them are young fellas. One is 18, one is 19. Ryan O'Donoghue was leading the line. And they've seemed to, once they got to Croke Park, particularly that Cork match, and then again the last day, Mayo, that third quarter in particular against Louth, reached heights as a team, which I didn't know this group was probably, I didn't know if they had it in them. So when they've got to Croke Park, their levels have gone up significantly. They're a lot harder to break down defensively. They seem to have kind of got their ducks in a row about the balance between their individual matchups and that collective defence. And they've 3 guys. Kobe's a superstar. He doesn't strike me as a type of kid who's 18 and says an All-Ireland final he's going to go into a shell. He seems to embrace it, much similar to his dad. And Dara Byrne and Ryan O'Donoghue have got loads of scoring potential as well. So that's a case for them for victory. But I said it on the pod earlier in the week, the variance from Mayo's worst performance to their best performance is huge. And that's the question mark. We don't know what type of performance Mayo are going to put in. We don't know what an 18 or 19 or 20-year-old is going to perform like in the biggest game in our sport. Whereas with Kerry, even though they haven't been going great, they haven't, they give up opportunities. We were talking about it just beforehand. Tyrone scored 27 points. Dublin scored 20 points. They scored a goal. They didn't give it. Kerry will give up opportunities. They mightn't even be in the final if it wasn't for fucking Brendan Cawley. But I think you've more confidence in what Kerry can produce. So can Mayo win? They can. Do I think they will? Put it this way: I think it will be a massive upset if Mayo won the All-Ireland.
I don't know why Brendan Cawley is getting so much stick. James, it wasn't Brendan's fault. It was his umpires.
Was Conor Lane involved?
But it wasn't.
No.
Sorry.
But it wasn't. Which decision? The goal wasn't over the line. The penalty was a penalty, and
Was it?
the third. What was the third one?
Square
again?
ball.
The square ball, 50-50. No, that was a square ball, to be fair.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But look.
Can I ask you, lads,
there we go.
you've both had, I think, one experience of losing to Mayo. Maybe not in an All-Ireland final, but what is that actually like, knowing that obviously they've got such an amazing fan base, but you're going to be at the receiving end of that cacophony of noise when you end up losing to them in a big game? I think 2012 for you, Paddy, first of all, is when that moment happens.
Yeah, and we were doing the game in 2021 when Mayo beat Dublin in extra time in that semi-final. So,
You nearly broke a table in the press box that day, pal.
fucking Davy Byrne, Jesus Christ. No, they've amazing support, and they're probably one of the best supported teams in the country. They've been on such an epic journey for 70 years. They've been in All-Ireland finals. I think 11 in a row they've been in. They've lost them all. So there's that kind of fairy tale story around Mayo, and it's great to see. And I know Andy alluded to it after the semi-final. You want supporters. Being a sports fan is about getting carried away and about enjoying it. That's why we all love sport. We all can't wait to see the match on Sunday. So I think the supporters are well entitled to enjoy and embrace an occasion like this. And they will win one eventually. But when we lost in 2012, I think it was Horan's first year, we'd won. Dublin were the All-Ireland champions, just didn't perform on the day. And yeah, their fans celebrated and gave it to you. But sure, that's part of being a fan. And as a player, you have to take that on the chin. And I was fortunate enough, and Jimmy, you as well, and Kieran will come up and talk. When your team wins and is successful and you win this thing, Where's it? Sam Maguire, like, it's the biggest thing in our sport. It's the biggest thing you'll achieve. My wife isn't here, like I have 2 kids, but that's the biggest thing you'll achieve in your life. Like. So
This is going out on air tomorrow.
fuck, edit that. No, so if Mayo supporters, I think they're amazing for the GAA. You know, maybe the Cork supporters and the hurling, they've that sort of energy behind them as well. But anytime you lose a match as a player, you just got to take it on the chin and deal with whatever the opposition supporters or players are giving you.
Yeah, for you, James, there was a couple of epic matchups with them. Obviously, you get one over them in 2014, but then 2017 is also a two-legged affair, let's say, against Mayo, and they come out on top in that replay. Talk to us about that day.
Oh, I got dropped for the replay, and I was sickened. And Mikey Sheahan and Fitzmaurice pulled me, and they said, "Look, you're not starting the next day. We're going for a bit more pace in the full forward line." So I said, "Fair enough." And then Donaghy and Geaney started inside. I said, surely I can run as fast as the boys. But that was Aidan Shea actually went back and marked Donaghy that day. It was classic.
That was great.
So, yeah, very disappointing one for us. But, like, that time, Mayo had this brilliant team, honestly. And this new Mayo team is coming, and maybe they will get to that experience level and ability again. But I just think they're a little bit off that level currently. But they will get there. But even they say themselves they're a year ahead of their journey. So
Have they said that? I can't remember one Mayo person saying that on the record. I think you've just put that out there.
it was a 3-year plan to win Sam Maguire, and this is year 1.
Okay.
They're actually 2 years ahead.
Lads, we will be catching up with you as the evening goes on. You're going to be up here with Kieran McGeeney a little bit later on.
But just before we go, if anyone listens to the Football Pod over the last couple of years, thanks very much. You'll know that we all have, I suppose, habits and maybe triggers that might set the others off. I can get a bit cranky sometimes. So, again, I do apologise to the boys after recording sometimes. I'm a bit cranky.
Morning time, evening time, lunchtime.
Afternoons.
We're trying to figure out the time we are not cranky.
Sometimes Paddy interrupts us and talks too much. And sometimes James gets a hold of a topic and he just won't drop it. He just holds on to it and he just won't let it go. But it's funny, this is actually breaking news for everyone in the room. Eoin doesn't know this because he was in Mongolia for the last 6 weeks, but a production company in America actually reached out to us to work. They're working on a couple of documentaries around the GA, and they asked us, would we do something together on the Football Pod? So I actually have a trailer to play for you this evening, and it's based on one of our habits. It's called Obsession. Please have a look.
Hey lads, how are you?
This camera.
Which one are we looking at? This one? No. Number 1?
Can we just get this over with? I've seen a lot of sick stuff in my time, like heartbreak and stuff.
Where do you want to start?
But Jimmy, with this, he was obsessed. Not in a good way.
I think it started when I was about 13. It's not something I'm that comfortable talking about.
But there was no turning him. Couldn't let it go.
He just wouldn't let it go. Every single week, he'd bring it up.
I feel like this has been blown out of proportion. I don't think I talk about it that much. Why can't you just kick it?
Fisted points gone. Okay, like they're a drain. Nobody goes to a football match, right, to see some fella run in next to the goal and fist it over.
I said it to him. I know there's a lot going on at home. The new baby and everything. I said, hey, Jimmy, is everything all right, man?
It's probably taken over my life a little bit.
I would ban, I've said this about 100 times on the podcast, but I'd ban the fisted point. It's a bit of a cop-out by fisting it over rather than going for the goal as well.
Like, it's 3 points for a goal. It's just not the way we were brought up.
I can't talk about this anymore.
Do you believe me?
Peter McCarthy. James O. James O rounds his man. This will be greeted with something. Big home crowd. Please is the whole attendance here. James, I don't know.
That's good stuff.
That was the slowest build-up of all time. I got you.
Only 12 episodes. No, I would ban it. If it,
would you?
only
if Kieran
because
McGeeney was sitting on
no,
stage,
the one thing I said there was 3 points for a goal. That's one element of it. But the most important thing is you'd see forwards kicking from tighter angles, which is a great viewing.
I think we're going to need more episodes.
I think so.
The Christmas special.
Was that the only fisted point you've ever notched in your career?
I think so.
Okay.
You're not going to run another clip. Yeah.
No, we don't have any more.
I genuinely think it was. I think it was. But you'd have an all go anyway.
James
put the foot through it.
James actually didn't really know what we were doing there. I just gave him a script and you kind of rolled with it. So fair play, well done. And Paddy, I thought your acting was sensational.
Yeah.
It was really good. And
100 takes. 100 takes.
Luke De Bruyne, who works with us on Clips for the Pod, pulled it together. So fair play, Luke. Thank you. Owen.
Yeah, right, lads. We'll catch up very shortly. We'll be back out here with Kieran McGeeney and maybe more special guests a little bit later on in the show. But for now, give it up for James O'Donoghue and Paddy Andrews. I want to say as well that Off the Ball's All-Ireland Final Special is with thanks to AIB. Behind every county are those who lift us all, and AIB are proud sponsors of the GAA All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. And a man who has got his hands on Sam Maguire in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship, both as a manager and as a player, and as a captain, in fact. I'm delighted to say he's with us here this evening. Please give a warm welcome to Kieran McGeeney.
Everybody said they wouldn't win the All-Ireland, and they won the All-Ireland!
Thank you. See you.
Well, look, it's just that 50-50 game that everybody wants. There's no skill in it, it's just pure piggery. Like.
If you want to box, say you want to box and we'll box. If you want to play football, say you want to play football and we'll play football.
Kieran, good to see you. That is a clip that we play out on the radio every single evening. If you want to box, say you want to box and we'll box. It is one of the most iconic quotes in Irish sport. Did it just come to you in that moment? Did you have that natural poetry when you were an international rules player?
No.
Do you get royalties for that?
No. Don't get royalties for anything. That particular game, like, it was funny just the way it ended up. It was funny. Darmagh person gets all the blame, but it was two Kerry boys that were doing the boxing. Paul Galvin and Aidan O'Mahony were the three of us got sent off that day. They sort of went after us three. They thought we'd fight back for some reason. So it was just after it, like we were just a wee bit annoyed because we had a good game against them down in Galway, and then it turned into a bit of a melee first thing, and so
there was a nasty streak to that one, wasn't there? Was Garrity knocked out in the first minute or before the ball? Well, I got my ears mixed up. I might have.
Yeah, there was a couple of different things. I thought that was
going wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, the year we played them in Galway and then back up, and the press had a big thing about the Galway game being very sort of like calm and benign, and it wasn't. Like, it was probably the most physical game I had played in against Australia. Like, there was no fights, but it was very hard hitting, and like the press went all out sort of saying it was very tame, but basically there was no fights. So like, first 30 seconds there was a fight, and everybody then complained. So it's hard to know how to sort of do that. Like, I actually liked the game. I thought it was a very fast game. It was very quick. Like, but that particular day, like, the thing about it then was that there was no consequences for anybody doing anything. So, and the three of us sort of got taken out in the first few minutes. So,
no 12-week bans back then.
No, there was no bans at all. It was great, but it just had to I always keep the boys going. Like, I never got sent off. Like, but that don't count, that one. So,
Kieran, you are officially back for 2027 with Armagh. On your side of things, was there much of a decision to be made about coming back?
Like, there's always, it's hard, like 3 kids at home, and I can't say my wife because she goes to the training with me. She's a physio on the team, but I love Armagh, I love football, and I suppose the reality is like if they want me there, like I'll probably always sort of stay about. Like, but you know, in management, like, it's a wee bit different than playing. Like, in playing, like, you know, there's always a chance, like, to make people sort of like you and get on side. The only thing with management, you know, is when you start, like, there's a few don't like you, and when you finish, they all don't like you. So you just make your peace with that.
It does feel though that might be different for you. Have more people have more people ended up liking you in recent years because obviously you're an All-Ireland winning manager now compared to the first best part of 10 years?
No, I don't know. It's hard to say. I've got a habit of rubbing people up the wrong way. I've got very strong opinions, especially around football. So like, it's my usual reason for not doing things like this. It gets me into more trouble than I can usually get out of. It's tough more on my family than it would be on me. As I tell everybody, I've got skin on me like a rhinoceros ass. Like, so it's I'm used to it. Like it's like water off a duck's back for most of it. But like, you know, my dad's here, like my sister, my brothers, like, and now my kids. Like, there's a lot of abuse that comes at you. Like over the years, you would have letters sent to the house. And luckily, they sort of intersect them now. You have rubbish tipped into the garden, signs put outside mum and dad's house, all of that sort of stuff, and as well as the abuse you get from the sideline. But I've been lucky enough nobody says it to my face yet. So that particular way of got away, but I'm getting older, so I am. So it's probably going to come.
Have you changed much as a manager? I know it's silly asking that, but I'm sure there's a lot of managers early into their intercounty careers that will look at you, or maybe look at a John Kiley who's been there a couple of years and try and learn from the template that you've built. Have you changed much since you first took over an intercounty team in Kildare back in the day?
Probably. Like the first few years was tough because you know, like not everybody thinks the same way as, especially like, you know, I got a wee bit obsessive about it when I was a player, especially about training. Like, and like despite what people think, I don't think intercounty players train overly hard. So
what do you mean?
I just don't like pre-season's tough, but like they train twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and weights on a Wednesday. Like it's not mad. Like so it's.
But I'm sure you're together, as in there's probably a mental toil maybe.
Yeah, but you love it. Like, I can't get all that stuff. Like I think it's a pile of shit, but that's just that's a personal opinion. As I sort of say, like, you know, if you love something, like, you know, like when I do jiu-jitsu, I see fellas train twice a day, like, and they carry their jobs and like they've worked. Same with fellas doing triathlons. Like, you know, anybody who's an Olympic athlete, like the amount of training they do, they're nearly all amateur apart from like the grants they would get. So, like, I think playing intercounty football is you know, it's a pleasure to do it, being involved in it. It's a pleasure for me. I think it's an honour also to represent your county. Like, they're telling you you're one of the best in your county, and then you get to compete against the best in the country, and you get to test yourself. You get to see how good you can be. Like how many things in your life can you get to do or to say that? Like, most of us live in a, you know, I suppose, a fog of mediocrity. Like, you know, we go into work, we do our thing. Nobody's ever trying to be, like, I'm not saying anybody, but in sport, you have that chance to be the best. Like, you have the chance to put yourself forward, that chance to step up and not step back. And I wish I could still do it.
I can imagine. The reason I ask you is John Kiley has spoken a lot about November 15th being their starting point, technically, I'm sure. And they only had 5 days off over Christmas. So as a group, they've been with each other all the time. And I think we asked them about it after the Munster final, because Limerick know how to celebrate. They really know how to celebrate as a group. Of all the teams I've come across, like, their beers downstairs in the Hogan stand, like, straight away. They really celebrate together. They sit out in the pitch after matches together in a group with a couple of cans. They foster that togetherness. So they love spending time together.
Yeah.
Is that the key?
Yeah, and I think that's what being a team is. You know, and when I say those things, I'm not trying to be derogatory. Like, to a lot of, like, there's some fellas, like, you know, play at a level and an intensity and train at that. Like, but it's just not the same for everybody. But I think in life, when you go through it, you don't get to be parts of that team. We all go to work and we're all part of teams as such, but they're more like working groups. Like, when you play a sport, like, you have a chance to be part of something really solid, something like, you know, that the people beside you want you to do well. You share a common goal, like, you share laughs, you know, you share a lot of hard times too, but you don't get those things when you leave sport, like, or not to the same degree.
Were you good at celebrating in Armagh?
They were decent. Depends who you're on about. We had some ones who were really good at it.
What are you like? What were you like as a player?
Boring fucker. No, listen, we had, there's parts of your football career, like, you know, like, nobody knows nothing about. Like my first introduction to Armagh, like, I was only 17, I was still at school. I was at the Abbey. And it was a couple of things, but my first away game was down in Kerry, and you know, like, we go down in the train, and I thought, like, you know, I was playing for Armagh, like, you know, you're going down and playing Kerry. There was still a lot of big names playing for that day. Like, we were staying in the Danny Man, and the next thing was Joe and Paddy Moriarty were managing that time, and so we were down for a bite. Next thing says, we're going to have a quiet couple of pints tonight, just settle down and be all relaxed with the game tomorrow. And, huh? I didn't drink until I was 19, and I said, that's okay. And the next thing I see was debauchery, like, just fucking everybody was going mad, like, and was drinking till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Got up the next day, like, you know, everybody at breakfast hanging, like, and oh, that was good, fellas, nice quiet night. And I'm going, that was fucking quiet. And you know, we went out and played, like, and I came on that day. Paddy Mo says to me, like, I just remember, like, Paddy used to smoke on the sideline, like, and he just says now, like, when you go out here, like, he says, no, you can't play out here, you can't play fucking anywhere here. I just looked at him and he put me in at wing forward, like, and it was a smell of drink off the bay, it was marking, like, and it was different times, so it was. So at the beginning, like, I went through about 3 or 4 different changes in Gaelic football. Like, some people say it was good or bad, like, but Kerry would have only been, like, finished a month or 2, like, where Armagh probably would have been finished, like, you know, for about 5 months at that stage. So yeah, it was different. So I went through different stages. My career, like, in terms of how much crack it was, I suppose. But like, you definitely got a different introduction back to it in '89.
So that was your league debut in 1989. It's another 3 years before you make your championship debut for Armagh. It's 1992. What do you have to change in those 2.5, 3 years that you're ready to make the step up, other than being a little bit older?
Size was probably a big factor back then. Like, even though it would have been strong for a minor, like there were big boys. Like, it's like our team, like, had the Grimleys in it, Kieran McGeeney, Jared Houlihan, you know, like, it was, you know, big men, like, so trying to, like, that particular debut, like, the championship debut was against Down, and again, like, it was a rough introduction, 6 stitches, dislocated AC joint and concussion after 4 minutes. Neil Smith had a broken jaw, like, from the throw up, like, so, you know, it was a different time, like, so bigger. Yeah, was it helpful?
Because people often say that your generation ushered through the era of the bigger man in Gaelic games, but that wasn't necessarily the case, was it? You were obviously realising that you had to actually get bigger just to keep up with your own teammates and with the other people in the Ulster Championship.
That Down team was huge, really good footballing team too, but like, in terms of size, like, Greg Blaney was at 11, Paddy O'Rourke at 6, like, you had Conor Deegan, it was Conor Dunnett, like, we met 10 years later, I think it was in the club championship match. Reacquainted ourselves, and what do you call it? Like, who was Breen was in midfield with him, but you'd Gary Mason, Ross Carr, then wing forwards inside. You'd Whitnall, Wee James, big, like Paul Hughes, like cornerback, like they were big men, like big and they hit hard. So you learn to toughen up very quickly.
I can imagine. At what stage do you learn that you're going to become All-Ireland contenders, Kieran? Is that something that you have in your mind from those first few years in the early 90s, or is it actually only as we venture towards the turn of the millennium that you start to reckon, geez, we can actually do this thing?
It's hard to sort of say. Like, when I went in, like, I thought that's what we were there to do. Like, but I remember being told, because like, Armagh never had won one before, and we hadn't won an Ulster title in a good while then. Like, and even with that, like, I think at that stage, so I was 89, like 105 years. I think we had won 6 or 7 Ulster titles. And that was it. So when I started talking about All Irelands, like, and even wasn't starting, you know, the boys were looking at me just thinking I was a wee bit seriously, like, just go like, that's not what happens here. But then in '92, our minor team got to the All-Ireland final. Paul McGree, David Mars and Barry O'Hagan, Justin McNulty, Ian O'Rourke was a sub in that. So it was a lot of those fellas. I actually came back. The great thing about those days is, like, when you were getting beat by teams in Armagh, you could play football in America for the summer.
Yeah, you spent a lot of summers.
Yeah, I did, unfortunately.
I was doing a bit of prep for Kieran McGeeney before, and it's like from 92 to about 97. Have you a couple of summers there, 4 in a row? Is it
Over in America?
Yeah, you had a good few in a row.
I was there 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95 possibly too. I think it was at 4 in Boston and 2 in Chicago.
A lot of football being played at.
Yeah, made a lot of good friends too, and learned how to socialise properly, like, you know. So it was harder than learning how to play football properly.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I met those group. Like, I came home, and Brother Ennis had asked me to play a game against the minors. They played before the All-Ireland final, and he asked a group of us to play against that mine, and he said I was going to be picking up number 11. He says, young fella called Damon. He says, I want you to take it easy on him. You know, like he's our best player, like, you know, and don't be hitting him or don't be doing any of this sort of stuff. And I said, right, no bother. Like, and after the game, Brother Ennis goes over to me. He says, no, fair play to you. You took it easy on him. I says, easy on him. I couldn't catch the fucker. Like, he was lying. Like, and he was so physically strong for a young fella. But like, when I met them that time, Meath beat them by a point. Like Trevor Giles, I think, was on that.
92.
92, yeah. Again, like they just missed out. It seems to be Armagh's story. Missed out by a point. But I went down to the Regency Hotel afterwards where they were staying, and I spent the evening with them, and they were all talking about winning All Irelands. And it was probably at that moment that I realised that it's those people here who actually could think the same way. Like.
What about the coaching and the mindset shift that you were getting from the coaches? Because we all remember Joe Kernan getting you over the line and that unbelievable success in 02, but that doesn't happen out of the blue. Like, when it comes to McAlinden and Canavan, what are they doing? How have they managed to shift the mindset from somebody from a team that's content enough to just mosey along to one who is determined to win the All-Ireland?
I use Brian McAlinden as the like bogeyman stories for the players. So when Brian took over us, he was like a force of nature. Like, that's really what started that sort of change. Like, Brian just took no prisoners. Like, him and Brian Canavan. Brian would have been the sort of good cop, but McAlinden was always the bad cop. Like, he just, like, you know, there's the old sort of story about the 10,000 hour mastery in sport, like that it could take 10,000 hours to be like a master at anything. But there's another thing called the Soviet Union one, called the 10,000 egg, where you throw 10,000 eggs at the wall and see the 15 that don't break. They're your champions. Well, Brian was more that sort of era than he was at the coaching thing. Like, so
how would he break you?
He just, no matter what you could think of, he would say it to you. He would, like, nowadays, if you said half of it, you'd end up in court. So he just, like, anything at all to break it. Because there's a famous meeting, like, within Armagh, like in '99. Like, he was in there, like, he changed things, but Donegal beat us up in Ballybuffet in '99, and it was Martin McQuillan and Neil Smith and still were on the team. But we got beat, and McLean went mad afterwards, and we stayed in the change room, I would say, for about 2.5 hours. The person who was closing it up actually threw the keys in through the window and told us to fucking stay there. But things changed then. Like, you know, the penny finally dropped with a lot of players, like what he was looking, and like the 3 years he had basically spent killing us, like, started to come out onto the team. Like, but I genuinely couldn't tell you half the stories, because he was just, no matter what you could think of, he could think of something worse. He really was the ultimate driving force. Like, and then, you know, he took us to back-to-back Ulster titles, and then Joe came in, and Joe would have been more like sort of like, I suppose you'd call it panache, and like, but brought Paul Grimley in with him. He was probably more like Brian, like, and we were very unlucky under Brian, in fairness. The Cross were going through like a great period at the time, so we didn't have always got those Cross players on board. Like, but like in '99, like, Meath beat us by a point in Croke Park, and 2000 went to a replay against Kerry, went extra time.
Both semi-finals.
Yeah, like, and what do you call it? Like, so it was we were close, and then like we got put out in the first round in 2000, but we had Galway here, we went on to win it. In 2001, we actually trained in the Fane. We ended up being late for the match. Like, we only arrived at the pitch was before 5 minutes. There was an old lady decided to park her car in the middle of the road, and she wasn't for budging or reversing.
Was she from Galway, was she?
I don't know where she was from, but no, she.
Paddy mentioned earlier he can remember that one because he was a young fella back then going to games. Was it Meehan again in the rain? I know. Well, it wouldn't have been Meehan back then in the rain. That would have been a little later. It was in the rain that day. It was a qualifier, wasn't it?
Yeah. So like we brought it back. They went to a 7-1 like lead, and we brought it back. I think we were coming out with the ball. I don't know. I remember sort of blaming one of the full backs for it. Like, but looking over back the game, like, I could blame myself for a lot of things too. But we give the ball away just in that last moment. I think it was John Donnan actually jumped up and got the ball for an interception from a fist pass, and he got the ball down to Michael, and thinking he scored the winning point.
Do you have recall like that over those days?
Yeah, the ones we lost, so quite a lot.
Okay.
So from the 2 All-Irelands that you played in, would you have more distinct memories from 03 rather than 02 then?
Not really. Like, 02 was special. Like, it definitely was. Like, again, no different than probably like over the last couple of years. We had a lot of bad luck as well in '99 and 2000 and 2001. Like, you know, losing those games. Like in 2000 or 99 against Meath, we lost Jared Reid in that last few minutes when we were ahead. Like Diarmid, like had, a couple of goal chances as well. Like in 2000, we were actually a point ahead. And like John Bannon gave a free against. There was lots of wee different things. And then the year we won it, like we had a lot of luck. Like a lot of things, like was it Ronan McGarty? Was it against Sligo? Like it was true. 1-1, like with Benny, like at the end of a game, like there was a point in it and he fisted it over the bar. By the way, you should look at the Kerry golden years. He's won 3 All-Irelands fisting the ball into the net. So, but it's so like yeah, like you'd look back at all of those things that he's doing. It's funny, like sorry, Dara, wasn't it? Like that I actually interviewed him for his first job for the GPA. Like, and when I asked him at the end of it, I said, "Any questions?" And he says, "Well, not any questions," but he says, "Since I let you win the All Ireland by fisting it over the bar, I think you should give me the job." So.
It's interesting that you mentioned that Sligo game, because if you go onto YouTube and you type in Kieran McGeeney highlights, the Sligo game, that block in 2002, is one of the only sort of single highlights that's up there. Of course, the 2002 final is up there in full, but other than that, it's highlight reels from you speaking as manager of Armagh, and almost the player gets lost in the YouTube sphere. And I'm sure there's plenty of people in the room tonight who don't actually remember you playing. Like Tommy and myself remember you playing all right, but we can't actually go back and watch your highlight reel.
Like listen, I always took blocking as a big thing. Like it's not really a skill that's used anymore. Now there's defense with the new rules, but that's another story. Yeah, like that particular day, I think it was 2 or 3. I got off the line. Like I used to slag Benny like that. I've done more goalkeeping than he did. So, but yeah, like listen, I enjoyed my football. Like I loved playing, like and that type of defending. It was what I loved, that and break ball, and trying to get the ball up the pitch. Like, but like the game has changed again dramatically, like in terms of skill and pace, and you just. It's you try not to look back at those days, because if I'm being honest, like, and I say again, this is where I differ from everybody else. Like over the last couple of years, when they said like the game had got so bad, like, but that's the best thing about YouTube. Like you just have to look back at your own games and you go.
You were a kick passer too, though, and
yeah, like
played direct football.
Yeah, like the way we played, like was getting the ball into the full forward line, but it was a different game. Like when you look back at it. Our 95 county final was put up there recently, and it's like table tennis. Like you kick it up, you kick it back, you kick it up, you kick it back. Like there wasn't. You thought you were passing, but you weren't. Like the way fellas pass the ball now is to each other. Yeah. We sort of kicked it up. Hope it sort of landed in that general direction. Like I'm not saying like if the players were here or had you have academy squads, you have good coaching. Like the coaching goes into games now is like phenomenal. Like I'd say the pre-season, like it's just all football. Like I did for my first 7 years was run. I mean, that's all we did was run. Like I used to hate going back to, was it on Portmore? There was one light in the corner, like, and you just used to run around the pitch like 16 times.
I'm sure we all had training sessions like that, but more club. You would have thought county would have been a bit more back then, even.
No, well, the change started to change around 94, 95. But like coming up to championship, because like you played 3 or 4 games before the Christmas, and then 4 games afterwards, and then like you had about like 8 to 10 weeks between that and the championship, and you just spent most of it running.
I might be jumping ahead here a little bit, but just when you're talking about the close calls, and it's not a direct equation, but obviously Mayo are a long time waiting on winning All Ireland, and they've had a fair few close calls. Now it's a different team than the team that fell short maybe in the 2000s or 89 or the 90s. Can you give them any hope?
Yeah. To be honest, if I'm sort of sitting down there listening to you, is like, I know if I was Mayo, I'd be annoyed. That's just me. Like it's like they're in All Ireland final, and they're there on credit. Like the best other team that's been through it. And I know like Mayo got a lot of bad sort of press, I think, in the zeros, because we're playing probably against the best ever team in Gaelic football, like in that Dublin outfit. And in 2 or 3 of those games, they probably beat themselves more than Dublin beat them. Like they were a phenomenal outfit. And sometimes like when people talk about Mayo, I don't think they give them the credit they deserve, like to be that consistent and sustain it for so long. Like I don't know, people can say they lost them, they did, but like it was marginal. Like
very different ways as well. Maybe 406 were probably different Mayo teams than what we saw in 16, 17, and
I think this time, like I'd agree with what the boys were saying. Like it's a young team, like and same with Andy. Like there's no fear attached to it. Like it's a free swing for them. And when you have a free swing at somebody, I think anything can happen.
Just the last one on that for the moment.
it does look like the Mayo boys are playing with a bit of freedom in Croke Park. Like they're expressing themselves. Some of these young fellas, that is class to see. Do you give credit to the management and backroom team for having them ready, or are you looking at these kids and thinking they just have it in them?
It was probably a wee bit of both. Like sometimes, like you have to be careful. Like half of management is not doing what you always think should be done, like and just letting a wee bit go. Like Andy's not that long out of playing, so he probably realises like they have a lot of freedom, and just to let it go. Like they are playing like that. Like, but Mayo, I think, thrive in chaos. That's the way they play. They're very athletic, very direct, very aggressive in the way they take the ball forward. So listen, when you look at the stats and what's happened in the long kickouts for Kerry, and even in the kickout retention rate by Kerry, a lot of the things do add up for a Kerry win. Like there's not much point in seeing anything different. But I always feel anything can happen in a final, and especially like when I think they have this sort of free swing. I don't think, regardless of what happens, it's going to affect that Mayo team because they know like nobody's giving them a chance, and like they're coming out in Croke Park here. Like I'd love to see them just go at it and see what happens, because I think like a lot of teams, like when they play Kerry, they try to contain them, and especially in the modern rules, like you can't contain teams anymore. Everybody's going to score 18 or 19 points. Just period. Like even when you're like bad, like you're going to be in around that. And so, like, if you can add 3 or 4 points to that, that means you're going to be in the game. Like, you're definitely in. Like, Mayo's inside line is definitely scoring heavy. So,
What do you make of obviously Ryan O'Donoghue has been unbelievable the last couple of weeks. What do you make of these two kids, Byrne and MacDonald?
Yeah, I think he's
played with Kieran, obviously.
Yeah, Kieran's a good player.
He's decent, yeah.
Yeah, he was. It was very stylish. He was very tough, like very aggressive in winning the ball. Like, and the son's like that too. He can win any ball when you throw it into him. Like he's good in the air. I think they're playing exceptionally well. Like, and again, they have that. Like, they don't know enough yet to be restricted or scared. Like, and it's great to see it when you play it. Like we have a couple of young players like that too, like the likes of Connolly and Darren McMullen. And like sometimes the best thing you can do is just let them go. Like,
do you see that fearlessness in fellas in the dressing room?
Like, they just don't give a shit. Like. And I think it's brilliant. So I think it's class to see, because sometimes like everything can get on top of you, like, and you can have mantras and goals and stuff and all of these things. But like when you enjoy what you do, when you love it, when you have that grow for it, just something special happens. Like, and you just let them off. Like,
yeah. Kieran, you mentioned the long kickouts a couple of minutes ago. Where do you sit on that at this stage of the year, having seen year 2 of the new rules?
Sure,
Piggery was the year of 2026. It was you who asked the question, was it?
You encapsulated it in one word. I don't know if you realised that it was going to go around the world when you said it, did you?
No, but like it was funny listening to everybody afterwards. Oh, he doesn't really mean that. He's plotting over here and he's doing this and he's doing that. Like, and I said, fuck, I wish. But the thing is, for long kickouts, because the ball is in the air for so long, like most presses, like they'll take the arc off everybody. It's very hard to get into the medium at the minute because the keepers still haven't got that kick out perfected yet, but they will. They'll perfect that kick out, so the medium is off, so the long, and then you have all these new teams like Meath, and everybody has stepped up because of their size along that back. Like, and it's one of Kerry's biggest like attributes. Like they have, like like so Joe, like Mark Sullivan, like all of those like across the thing. So when you hit it out, they're going to be aggressive, and it's the same when you're kicking it to them. They can have like isolated people on the sideline, and they can have a whole lot of different stuff. So
and is the Piggery the bit that happens while the ball is in the air and we're all watching the ball, but there's a wrestling match on the ground maybe?
It's not just that. Like it's a competition, and again, like, you're not allowed to say this because it seems derogatory when you're on about players. The biggest thing you need as a footballer in any sporting arena is a combativeness, the competitiveness. It's not worth a pile of blue without it. Like. And like sometimes we overlook that, like, and you don't like say the obvious. Like, David Clifford is a brilliant, there's no doubt about it. But he's 6'3", 15 stone, and he's an aggressive man. Like Michael Murphy's the same. Like Sheahan Comer, like every team has one. Like, when you say this, it sounds as if it's you're being derogatory, you're taking away from their skill. But without it, and I can assure, I've been around the inter-county scene for 40 years. Without it, you are nothing, and I mean nothing. You have to be able to win your own ball. You have to. And when you talk about another player sometimes like that, people say, oh no, like, sure, everybody's picking on him. It's not that. You watch their face when they're winning the ball and you'll see a beast.
What do you mean?
Just when they're going for it, the Murphys, the Conor Callans, the Sheahan Comers, like those central points to a forward line, like it doesn't matter what way you put it into it. no, anybody can finish when it's put it on a plate. The key men are the fellas that can win it, like when it's not theirs. And that's what I recognise most in people, like, is that combativeness, that competitiveness, because you have to want to win more than your opponent. You have to impose what you believe is your game plan on them, and you can't step back. You have to step forward every step of the way. And like, there's loads of players out there that with a lot of skill, but like, you have to be able to break lines. You have to be able to win that shitty ball. Like, and people mightn't like it, but Piggery's fucking useful.
Can you breed that into a fella? Like, can you coach that?
No.
Did McAlinden not do it for you, no?
Well, he finds the 15 eggs that doesn't break.
Okay.
You know, that's you can't put that in somebody.
You need to find them, boys.
Yeah.
So we're saying there's been a big misunderstanding all this time. Piggery is actually a term of endearment.
It is. Well, for me it is. For other people it mightn't be. Like, but and again, when I say like, that doesn't mean you have to be physically superior than your opponent. Like, you could be a runner, you can be very athletic, you can run them into the ground, you can be smart. Rory Grugan, a very, very smart footballer, something like him. Like, you know, Paddy Clifford again, like, is all jinky. Like, he takes people like out, like, and he creates space somewhere else. It's not about just physicality. It's about the ability to impose your game on him.
Is the game better now than it was 2 years ago?
Well, there's no defence, so. But
a yes or no question.
I remember sitting down in the Oyster Bar in Kerry, so it was. This is just last year with Donaghy's going away do.
Yeah.
And myself and McKeever.
It was up here, Donaghy's going away do.
No.
We had it here with Paddy and James. 10 points before the show.
That was only the pretend one. And myself and Brookie Kieran McGeeney we're heading up to his house, and he says, no, so we'll go into the Oyster Bar. So got a taxi, drop us off at the Oyster Bar first. And we sat in, we were having a couple of pints of Guinness, lovely pint Guinness, and like, it's beautiful, like we were sitting down, and he was like, came in, like, I'll not say them, so just one of the ex-Kerry players and his father came in and sat down beside us, and they were sort of saying they're on about the new rules, and McKeever could just see go. And I said, I don't think so, there's no defence and all this here. We talked about half an hour, and you could see the two boys getting madder and madder and madder like this here. And eventually, like, you know, they lifted the pints and went out, and Brookie turns around and says, you couldn't have kept your mouth shut for fucking 30 minutes. So I'm going to just keep my mouth shut for this one.
Well, like, I do think there's merit in the argument, like, to use an example from a different sport. And look, he got lambasted for this, but after the, what was it, Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, Kenny Cunningham was talking about the fact that this is actually not proper football because there's no defence on show. And he actually preferred Juventus against AC Milan in the 2003 Champions League final. Like, that may have been jumping the shark a little bit in terms of that example.
No, like,
it's merit in defence means something argument.
Again, the best thing I think about the new rules is that everybody's talking about it in a positive way. And I love Gaelic football, and I think it's the best sport in the world, and I'm delighted that everybody's loving it again. So, notwithstanding any of that, that's the most important thing, regardless of my opinions or anybody else's opinion. But I do believe that it's not a real sport if it's just attack. Like, it's like saying if you have a knockout punch in your boxer, but if somebody hits you, like, you're going to fall on the ground. Like, you know, you have to be able to defend as well. So listen, it's, again, before everybody hates me for it, it's an opinion. It's just an opinion, that's it.
We are very new into it, this new era, obviously, and things will evolve. You mentioned the keeper and their kickouts will evolve. Like, Mayo's defence was probably rightfully lambasted early in the championship over a couple of things, but the last two games in Croke Park, the amount of turnovers they forced, they've gone one-on-one, they've gone man-on-man a lot. Kerry obviously have a very effective defensive system as well.
Yeah, but most of the turnovers are from kickouts.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad, loud passes as well.
Yeah, so like it's, you know, like, when you see the game broke down, like, you see like
I'm
how it's changed.
Sam Callan and maybe Hessian forcing.
Yeah, again, like, there'd be more interceptions than you know, things like that there. So listen, it's a positive thing to say, like, everybody's attacking it, and I agree people will get better. Like, if you look at the 3 points, you know, in basketball, and like the way it was frowned upon for such a long time, like that it was a low percentage shot, and now it's one of the main things. The bad shot now is just inside the arc, like, and it's the same in Gaelic football now. Fellas, like, which would have been a very low percentage shot and you wouldn't have taken it before because the reward is much better, which I think is a good thing. I like the 2 points from play because it forces defence out. It would be great to see, like, I'd like to see the halfway line being because it encourages defenders to actually push out and actually, you know, make the tackle without being sort of coming back into it. So, like, the game will evolve. There's no doubt about it. Like defenders, like, you know, as I said, the pace and, like, the dexterity and the skill level of players is changing all the time. And maybe as the space is getting used to, things will change and it'll come back to that as well. Like, I don't know, but listen, I'm enjoying it. Like, at the minute, but I've always enjoyed Gaelic football. And as I said, like to me, the most positive thing is the way everybody's talking about it. If they love it, I'm happy.
There is some suggestion that there is going to be a backward violation rule trialled between seasons, and the four.
Is this ahead of the fisted point now? Is this?
It might be packaged in with that. And on top of that, the 4-point goal is not dead in the water yet. Further change, are you curious about what that might actually bring to things, or have we pushed the boat out far enough at this stage?
I'd like just for the rules that we have to be a bit clearer.
Oh, clearer.
Yeah.
So which ones?
All of them.
Right.
Like, so the only rule that we have that everybody's clear about is the hooter. And the refs hate that one, so I don't know.
Yeah, the hoot. We may as well get into it, will we, Eoin? In a scheme. 3 seconds to go. I'm not sure does everyone in the room know it, but because there was only a couple of thousand people in a scheme that day. But somebody, the loud PRO actually got on the PA system that day. Did you hear that at the time?
Yeah.
Loud PRO actually got on the PA system and roared as Sam Mulroy gets the ball in his hands, "Shoot!" And it came out over the stadium, in the stadium, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it was more like Sam had been holding the ball well for a while, just at the top of the arc, and it was going down. Like Joe McElroy was on him, but when it came to the I'm assuming he was the person who was doing the buzzer, because that's
no, he wasn't.
Well, no,
he was just sitting beside it and he flicked on the speaker.
All right, so like he was shouting "shoot, shoot, shoot" as it hit or went past 70 minutes. So, but listen, these are the things, like we made a lot of mistakes before that, so I'm not clinging to that one.
The season changed in that moment. Obviously, you're then drawn Kerry and Clarny a week later. I don't know. I didn't think you looked yourselves a week later. It felt like you lost it in those couple of minutes in Inniskeen, the season itself.
Yeah, look, listen, the system itself is lopsided. Like, you know, it always has been. I know people think it's a competitive arena, but you know my feeling on this here. Like,
tell everyone else.
They're just going to dislike me more for this one. What do you call it? Everybody thinks it's competitive, but the Dublin and Kerry, as far as I'm aware, have been in 82% of the All-Ireland finals. They've won 54% of them. So if you look at down south, like in order to win an All-Ireland, if you look at Connacht, which maybe could change this thing, it's the last team to win it was Galway, which is 25 years ago in 2001. Before that, it was Mayo in the 50s. In Clare, outside of Kerry, the last team to win it was Cork in 2010. Before that, it was Clare in the 30s. And if you go into Leinster, it was Dublin. The last team to win it was Meath in 1989. So the last before that was Louth in the 50s. So if you take basically outside of Dublin and Kerry, like the chances of winning the All-Ireland over the last 30 years, it's slim.
Very slim.
And
I think, yeah,
you know, like there's so many factors when you're involved in management. Like, you know, you see it. Like, and it's not just as simple as always having better footballers, like, and coaches and stuff like that. Like, finance plays a huge part of it. Time, and the system is better now, because it used to be like when you got beat in May or June, like you were out for 3 months or 4 months, and these teams were getting better, like 4 months every year that you weren't. And then when you went back, like a couple of weeks early, the press, McGeeney's training in December. Fucking terrible, like what's he doing? And like you're sort of trying to catch up, but now at least the teams are going out around the same sort of time. So there's so many different factors in it. You know, there's cultural aspects, environmental aspects in terms of, like, you know, Kerry comes from a hurling province, like outside of, like, so, like every time, you know, I remember going to the Fianna, like I love my time down in Dublin, but like Noel America was a Kerry boy had come up and he joined the panel, and I remember in our first meeting, like, Pillar was sitting chatting to him, and he says, like, you know, what position do you like playing? Oh, I don't mind playing anywhere. I can play anywhere in the team. And says, with any particulars? No, I can play anywhere. What foot do you kick with? You know, what do you mean? Well, what foot do you kick with? Says, I don't get the question. He says, what foot do you kick the ball with? Both. They just have this inner confidence because nearly everybody's played for a Kerry minor team, so they've won something.
Yeah.
So they have this innate winning thing about them, like they just believe always that they're going to win something. Like, you know, you could hear earlier on there from James, like, you know, like, are we going to win? Yeah.
They also never stopped playing football.
No,
like James will be playing O'Donoghue Cup. It's not named after James, by the way, until December. Like,
yeah.
And it means so much to them.
Oh, yeah, but Kerry, like, this is my wife's from Kerry.
And do you say this when you're down in Ballymena?
Oh, yeah, I learned, like, more keeps giving out to me about, like, you know, just watching myself. There's a coffee shop just not too far from our place, and we're playing Dublin, was this, I think it was back 2018 or something like that there. And I was sitting there having my coffee, like, and it was coming up, and it was coming over, like, and they were sort of saying, "What do you think of Sunday?" And I said, "I don't know. I think Dublin just had the stronger team, better bench." And they walk away. So this happened about 5 or 6 times, and I was fuck. So the next person came over. He was actually like a friend of the family. So he owned a sports shop opposite the coffee shop. He came over and said, "Hey, Kieran, what do you think?" "Fuck, I think Kerry's going to do it." "Ah, Jesus, hey, you know your football, don't you?" So I've learned to maybe not just be as opinionated in Kerry. It's a bad place to have strong opinions, like you're always on the back foot.
You do get upset when you back against them, or you suggest that they might, you know, have
I wouldn't
a
say they get upset, like they just go, "Listen, we have 36 All-Irelands, Kieran." So that's your argument over.
Yeah.
Kieran, do you look back on 2026 as a successful one? I mean, the Ulster Championship surely defines it as such.
Listen, for us, like, I'm only sort of coming out of hiding. I'm not good at losing, so I'll go into a wee bit of hibernation. So when I was looking back, and I didn't like it, but as you get a bit of separation, like, we've had a tough year, like, in terms of, like, you know, we haven't had Rain, Niall Grimley, Soupy, Jimmy Sheahan McPartland, Conor Mackin, Kieran Mackin, Conor O'Neill. And then, like, for the beginning of the season, we hadn't Graydon, Rory, Paddy Burns, like, we lost a lot of players, like, you know, a lot of players. And so, you know, we were forced into playing a lot of the new players. But in retrospect, like, the game time that gave, not just the fellas on the pitch, but like a lot of the fellas who were playing like in the A versus B games, like we have 4 or 5 young fellas like at under 20 level that are really good too. So like to be able to like, stay in Division 1, like, which is ultra competitive, and you know, like hold our own, and like, there wasn't really any game that we didn't. Like I think every game, bar the Donegal game, like that we lost was only by a single point. Like so we were very competitive, and we had a good run in the Ulster Championship, and like the only sort of game that we sort of really let ourselves down in was the Kerry game. Like, and even then we had chances. So looking back at it, I'm happy in the fact that like we stayed in Division 1, we won Ulster Championship. We haven't done like in 18 years. We introduced a lot of new young players, but now we have to see like what this like can they stick it out, like, because again like Division 1 is going to be very tough next year, and just to see. So yeah, we had a decent year. Am I happy? No, but that's just one of the things with like, you know, being part of a small county. Like the reality is you're going to have a lot more bad days than good days. Like
on the small county thing and trying to get over the hurdle, maybe at the first time of asking, a lot of this Mayo crew this weekend have never played in an All-Ireland final. It's similar to your Armagh team in 2024, and indeed similar to your Armagh team in 2002, getting to the All-Ireland for the first time and getting over this notion that you need to get the experience first before you actually have to win it. How difficult a thing is that for a team to come along at the first try and actually come away with the canister?
It depends very much on the mentality of the team and how it's being, I suppose, nurtured. Like you can put too much pressure on the fellas for it. Like, you know, we try to sort of protect the players and let them get on. The most important part for them is actually playing to their ability. Like, you know, whether that's going to be enough or not. Like, so I think Andy's doing a good job. I think he was right. Like, you know, let the supporters go mad and let them have their good time, but like he'll protect the players, and I think he's done a good job of that. The Kerry do have that experience. Like, you know, the reality is they only start nearly get going come quarter-final stage. Like a lot of them have played in All-Ireland finals, but it's hard to always measure. Like, you know, Mayo was going to be very hungry for it, you know, because they haven't won one and that there, but like that's the thing that Kerry have in their corner. Like, they want to win 4, they want to win 5, they want to win 6. So there's going to be a different. I do think this, from what I've seen to date, like, you know, Mayo was getting it right. Like, they know, as I said, they have a free swing, and again, I think that's the way they need to go into it. Like, they just need to have no inhibitions, because the biggest regrets you have in sport are the things that you didn't try rather than the things that you did.
There's one last thing before we go to break that I want to ask on that front, because you've spoken about Kerry and Dublin having the lion's share of titles. How does that inform what you're saying to each other at half-time in the 2002 All-Ireland final, when you're down by, 4 points, and that idea of Kerry notching up whatever a 33rd All-Ireland at that time, to the neutral observer and to the pundits on television that day, looked like to be a foregone conclusion? How do you reverse that inevitability?
Well, like, the first thing is, like, you can't worry about your opponent. Like, there's only so many things you can control, and the one thing you can't control is what they do, but you can control what we do. Like, we wouldn't see 4 points as a big thing. Same nowadays, it's like 8 or 9 points isn't even a big thing anymore. So that's not the that's not the story that you're telling them. Like the story you're telling them is that, like, listen, like, if you hit 2 scores in a row here, like, it's game on. You know, like, you get the first score, or, like, you know, like, you give them different points. They can only hold up to about 2 or 3 points of information at halftime. So, like, what you give them has to be effective. Like, and, like, you know, based on what you know, like, you might have 30 points of information, but what you're trying to affect more is the psychology of the situation, like, in terms of what they can control rather than your opponent. And it doesn't always land. Like, sometimes you don't get it right. Like, sometimes you do.
Do you remember being inspired at halftime?
I do.
Why?
At different times. That particular All-Ireland final was Andrew McCann. Like, I know people talk about, like, Joe and the medal, but to me it was, like, we called him Lazarus because he never spoke. So when he did, it sounded like somebody had woken up from the dead. And like, he spoke to Aisha McConville that particular day about, like, the penalty, like, and, you know, give him away, and told the rest of us to sort of, like, buck up. So, like, it wasn't the fact of what he said, it was basically how he said it. You know, again, like, at half time, you have to understand, like, you know, we're sort of energy beings, and, like, you're trying to lift that. Like, that was one of the things, like, in the Kerry game, like, getting 2 sucker punches in a row from 2 goals that we hadn't given away. That was the biggest thing. It wasn't like even at that time, like, we had the breeze in the second half. We weren't in a bad position, but we were just flat. Like, and it was very hard to get it going. And I suppose, truth be told, like, that's my job to try and get them going on a field at that. Like, so, but there's so many different things that can happen. Like, the psychology of half time. Like, and I know some people do it, but I don't think you ever know until you're actually in the situation. Like, you have to read the room, you have to read the players, you have to see what's happening, like, all the different things.
Was that half time when Joe Kernan brought out the runners-up medal, or was that before the game?
No, that was that one. Like I say, you know, but my recollection of that half time was more about Laz or Andy than anything else. Like,
have you ever watched RTE and the Sunday game and their halftime coverage of that? Because Pat Spillane makes a remark about how Joe Kernan's not going to inspire too many people, showing them his runners-up medal. And as it so turned out, that's exactly what he was doing in the dressing room, which is quite an extraordinary coincidence.
Yeah, I have to say, I try my best not to listen.
Is that us?
That is us.
Yeah, just before we go to the break, that moment at the end in 02, not 24, but in 02, when you finally do win that first All-Ireland. I remember asking you before about what you tried to say to there's an unbelievable video, and it's when Croke Park, it's probably 3:25 p.m. It's when Croke Park is at its loudest nearly. You're trying to talk to the team in a huddle before the game. And I think you're talking about just win that first ball, that first battle. But the moment at the end, when you get the job done, you've just beaten Kerry. What is that like?
Those moments are hard because you're emotionally sort of drained from the game. The 2 biggest moments for me in 2002 was I was actually living up in Castleknock at the time, and was it the Wednesday or the Thursday? Past Thursday, I think I had the Sam Maguire, and typical single meal. Like, you know, there's no curtains, like, so it was just the blinds. But, like, I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and the really shining through it was on the Sam Maguire. And I'll never forget that moment. It was like a fucking habit, you know, like eventually. So it was the first time that I actually allowed myself to feel that, like, you know, that, like, I achieved something. And the second time was, I think it was the Saturday night afterwards. It was Darren Marsden's stag night. We were down in Sligo. And I remember looking down the dance floor, our whole team was there. Like, they were just going bananas, having a crack. And you're just thinking, like, this is what it's all about. Like, it's just... Like, the journey is the big part of it, but it's nice getting to the destination.
It's some road from 89 to 02, but from 89 to 2027 next year, it's been some life in Gaelic football so far. Kieran, thanks for chatting to us so far.
Always.
Absolutely. We're going to have Kieran back out for... Kieran will be back with us for the second half. We'll be getting Paddy and James back out on stage. We also have potentially a special guest joining us before the end of the night, and of course the quiz, where we'll be doing our raffle for you to potentially win a pair of tickets to Sunday's All-Ireland final back in 15-20 minutes.
Thanks, lads.